So yeah, I don't know if people had questions. So some of our biggest partners are UMass Boston, Bunker Hill, and Benjamin Franklin, and I know they had pretty in-depth uh, presentations and updates yesterday. But I feel like with this group, there's always
Always more
a thirst for
questions.
knowledge. Yeah, there's
So
always more questions, thirst for knowledge, and sometimes just like very specific things to think about. So I mean, I'll put it up to the group. You can type it on.
And I actually preempted by giving Colleen 3 questions that weren't answered yesterday. So
yeah, let's do that.
Perfect.
That's why I want Colleen, who's our assistant director of advising at Bunker Hill, to speak to those 3 questions, and they may get more questions.
Awesome. Yeah, take it away.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen from Bunker Hill. It's nice to see all of you. So one of the first questions that Kate sent me was, are professors being encouraged or told to use the same teaching mode for the fall semester? And then in parentheses, it was WebEx and Moodle. So the tricky thing is, and I guess I should start by saying that the majority of the courses, close to 90% of the courses that Bunker Hill offers for the fall semester, will be offered in a remote format. It does not mean that they are full web courses as we define a web course. So the trick to look for is any Bunker Hill course that has WB as a section, that's a web course. That means it's going to be taught through the Bunker Hill software of Moodle and WebEx. Those faculty were trained semesters prior. They know the technology. It's in their contract to use those technologies of WebEx and Moodle to teach their students. When we had to make the shift from, almost 100% of our courses being offered on campus and pivot to them being offered remote, not all of those faculty were trained on WebEx or Moodle. Some prefer to use Zoom or other technologies that they are aware of and can give their students access to. So the short answer for that is yes, our faculty are obviously encouraged to use WebEx and Moodle because they're Bunker Hill products that we pay for. But some do have the option based on academic freedom and contractual complications to use things like Zoom or something different of their choice. And so we have updated almost all of our web sections. When students are registered for a course or when they're searching for courses, they can click on each of the classes. And if you scroll to the very bottom in self-service under additional information, it will actually tell the student how those courses are taught, whether it's through WebEx, Zoom, whether it's the day and time that's listed on the course description, or they can kind of do it at their own time and leisure. So there's much more information in there. It is still pretty confusing from a student standpoint. I think, remote synchronous, remote asynchronous, always understand what those pieces mean. I'm still learning what they mean. But no, not everything will be taught through WebEx and Moodle. It will be outlined in all of the syllabi for the students on the first day, how the course is being taught as well. And if they have any questions, we do have the advisors available in chat daily, Monday through Friday, so they can always ask a question about a specific course in the Bunker Hill chat if they need to. So before I move on to the next question, is there any other questions about the modality of how courses are being taught at Bunker Hill in the fall? Okay, so seeing none, I will go on to the next question, which was, is Bunker Hill using a texting platform or a texting bot? So we do have texting software or technologies. We don't use it to do like mass text messaging to students to say like the fall semester starts today. We really are only using it in some enrollment areas like Student Central to do targeted outreach to students. They get an email saying your bill is due. Or your financial aid is partially processed, but you're still missing some documents. So it's really specific outreach that we're doing to students. We're not doing mass texting. We do have an emergency text software that sends something to all students if there's an emergency on campus, but that's a different tool that we use. So the short answer is yes, we have one. But it's not used to outreach to every single student. It's really a targeted group of students through the enrollment process of admission, Student Central. And advising has it through our chat system, but it's very rarely that we use that. We really only engage with text or on text with a student if they've already contacted us in chat, and then we see they've put their number saying they're fine with us texting them. And sometimes we get a better response that way. Most of my students prefer to text me or call me rather than email. So I think they're just inundated with emails right now, truthfully. But yeah, so we have one, but it's not used for everybody. Questions on that one before I go on? Okay. And then the last one is, what type of withdrawals will the end of the fall semester be? So it's really kind of hard to say right now. I can't really speak specifically to what the withdrawals will be for fall, because I know for spring and summer they were extended a bit based on the circumstance of the pandemic and students not having access to technologies right away. So what I can tell you is what's in our academic calendar is what stands for the fall semester. The withdrawal deadline is always, a W on their transcript. They don't get a refund for the course. The very last withdrawal deadline is just that, it's a W in the courses that they're in. But those could change potentially in the fall semester like they did for spring and summer. If there is a need to extend those, the college will make the decision at that time. So for right now, whatever's on the academic calendar is what I would tell your students is happening, because that we sure is the deadline. Beyond that, in terms of an extension, that is to be determined. But if that happens, they will be notified and the academic calendar will be updated. Any questions on that piece? Okay, so those were the three. I'm happy to answer other ones as they come up. But thank you, Kate, for forwarding those to me.
Thank you, Colleen. And I know we have Jackie from Benjamin Franklin, and then Malika from UMass Boston. So did any other folks have questions about those specific campuses and how things are starting up there? The floor is open, or you can text it or chat if you feel more comfortable doing that. But I know people here aren't the shyest. Jackie, you're muted, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay. All I want to say is I don't know if anyone can see Jonathan Noel on the screen, but someone in his house is putting us all to shame because she's working really hard back there.
Props.
That's it.
Yeah, my sister definitely puts me to shame on that. Not even gonna lie. She's a runner. I'm a weightlifter. I like to pick things up and put them down.
She is going.
Yeah. Catherine has a great question. If there are any opportunities for students to get access to laptops through colleges, I know some of our partner colleges like Benjamin Franklin and RCC are going to be providing laptops to their first year students. I don't know if there's any additional information that some of the other colleges are doing.
I just want to say for returning students at BFIT also that students can apply for through our emergency fund, and through the CARES money we can help returning students also.
Awesome.
So as I described yesterday, Catherine, we have Chromebooks available for rental at Bunker Hill Community College. They have to fill out a Qualtrics survey, but we also have the CARES Act money, which a lot of students use to buy laptops if they needed laptops.
That's great.
I think to just address Portia's question on the chat, the noise canceling headphones, that's a great idea. And I think you could make an argument for the CARES money if you're at home, because it's got to be COVID related. So I think that's a great idea for those students we talked about yesterday who have neurological issues maybe and focusing issues. I hadn't thought of it. Great idea.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to be at home and like most of us with a family or someone else, like it's going to be tough to get into that mode of being in class. So I think those headphones would be really, really useful. Yeah, like everyone's saying, like those, especially with if you have younger siblings or parents who are asking you what you're doing for hours. Well, it's you're in class, so I think those headphones would be super helpful. And if the CARES Act money can go towards that, that'd be awesome. Malika, do you know if they're doing anything at UMass Boston? I know there's some
Yeah.
opportunities for rentals, I think.
Right. So in the spring and during the summer, we've been allowing students to rent Chromebooks from the university. If I'm not mistaken, they had to go to the university to go to Campus Police to pick them up. However, they already have a form active, I believe, on the school website under the CARES Act, under the COVID page for Chromebooks again for the fall. And then I know that students that, might have been IT, computer science, majors that need actual hardware and actual like RAMs to do their programming, they were allowed the opportunity to get laptops, but I don't really know how that was done. But in the notes that either Danielle or I send out to give to Juan to send out for the end of this meeting, I'll make sure that that's communicated, because that has been something that I guess folks didn't think about beforehand. But as far as like noise canceling headphones, I don't think we have any services built in for that. But that's also, yeah, CARES Act, that's a really good idea for utilizing those finances. And we have an application opening in August for both our incoming and our returning students to apply for.
Awesome. I just chatted the link to the UMass Boston Chromebook request form. So
cool. Thank you.
Very simple. It's like a minute long. So I can definitely fill it out for any students who are going there. And then Karen had a really good question about something that Kate brought up earlier about the financial implications of students withdrawing from courses, and how do you message that to students, especially first years, when if this is going to be a tough semester to get through, they might not be as encouraged or have the ability to really focus. So what are colleges telling students about making sure that they complete the semester in order to not face financial and academic implications? Or if there has been any work on that front?
Go ahead, Jackie.
I'll just say quickly, in our onboarding process of new students, we talk about it. We have a question, how are you going to stay organized when you have classes online? So we begin the process, but I don't think we really were talking about the financial end of it. So that's a good point.
And for Bunker Hill, through our onboarding process as well, we're notifying students of the academic policies and what that might mean in terms of remote work. We had a slight change in process, which I think is one of the benefits of COVID, is that now all of our new students who complete orientation are assigned to a temporary advisor for the summer. They're full-time employees, but it's a temporary advisor assignment is what I mean. So that they have a direct contact throughout the entire summer. And that advisor is sending them more information about the formats of courses, academic policies, and we ask questions through the A&R process or orientation about technology needs or concerns that they have. And so before the advisors are doing the outreach, they're aware that a student might only have a smartphone, which might mean that they're going to have a harder time getting through the semester. So to really address those needs directly with the student. And then through our withdrawal process, the students are required to get an advisor's signature as well as our student central signature. So we have those conversations sort of in the middle of the crisis when the students are having those problems, but we're trying to really push more information to students at the get-go to say, you know, this semester is going to look different and here's why. And here are some resources that might be available. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think that is it for the questions, but the very last thing I for this session was going to be asking our Success Boston coaches, which I'll be sending out I'll put it in the chat, but a link to some common questions from students that I had been getting from our Student Leadership Council that students would have during their first or even first year or even after that, like common questions that everyone really has. So like how do I prep for placement tests, or how do I pay my loans? What website do I literally log on to? So some questions that we wanted to build a database for that. I think Jonathan, Noel, I think Joelle as well, that people have been bringing this up in previous meetings of how do we centralize these answers and these resources for students, where if we're not able to help them out at a certain moment, like at 9 p.m. on a Friday, the student can still access that information if they need it at that time. So something I'm going to be asking our Success Boston coaches is to, I'll be linking it here. Let me see if it works. So what I would like is everyone to, the coaches at least, to go onto that doc and put your name next to one of the questions that you'll be answering in a video. So like a 1 to 2 minute video. And then I'll be uploading it into, I'll be creating a YouTube channel with all these answers and eventually putting them onto our Success Boston website as well. And if you do have questions.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and I'll be creating some answers essentially, as well as some guidance, because we all want to be on the same page with these things. So I know sometimes they're different, but we want everybody to be on the same page with these recommendations to the young people.
I was just going to ask if we had time to talk about what the answer is.
Yeah, I think it's tough for everybody.
And maybe future coaches meetings, just to compare notes about how the different coaches would advise on these common situations. Again, it could be a coaches meeting in the future if that's not what today's agenda has in store, but it might be time well spent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this isn't going to be the end all be all. I think this is going to be sort of like the beta test of this and trying to figure out how easy they are to make, because I also don't want to put a lot of burden on you all to do this. But I think if one coach does one question, then we could like really hack away at these and create a database for these young people to access. And even those people who we aren't able to support directly, and if they still need some support, they could access this as well. So I think it would be more than just our direct students that we're helping, if that makes sense. But yeah, feel free to write down, if people should be able to edit. But yeah, write your name down on which one you want to do, and then I'll the directions for just record yourself on a laptop that you're on right now or on a phone, and I'll be sending out some information later to the coaches themselves and your managers on where to send that out to, and I'll be accumulating that afterwards. But
Can I just add, Portia and Annabelle had a question about work study for the fall.
Oh yeah, so totally missed that. I'm so sorry, Portia. Yeah, that's a really good question, because that's something I had been working on for our common messaging, because that's such a big thing that we push with our students, trying to get work study on campus, since that's much better than getting a job outside of school. They're more amenable to you taking some time off and studying for classes. So what do people know on that?
We might know about we have student workers. I don't know what the status is, but we do have our learn and earn internships and our career. Stephanie, who some of you know, Bukowski, at our career internship. Email them if your student's looking for something, but Colleen probably knows about the work study.
Yeah, so as of right now, I haven't heard that work study is not happening for fall. It's still a go. Kate, just as a side note, we should confirm with Jill to make sure she hasn't heard anything differently.
We'll let the student,
Yeah, but for offices like mine that hire work study students, I am planning to still have work study students. They're just going to be working virtually. We don't know what is going to be happening in terms of staffing on campus for the fall semester yet. That is still to be determined. So many offices like myself are still in need of those students to do the work. And we're just getting creative with how they can do that work from home. So I can speak for myself in advising and say, yes, I will definitely be having work study students for the fall semester. Because the other thing to keep in mind too is that many of the non-work study budgets have been drastically reduced or cut. So that means that a lot of students I could hire, you know, from a student employee budget before, I don't have that budget anymore. And so because of enrollment and the pandemic and the financial crisis, it's left a lot of colleges in. I anticipate that's sort of the same across the board. So I am relying on work study to still be a thing in the fall. So I hope it is. Because I need those work study students to be able to help us give that student perspective and help us with the jobs we need. So we will double check to make sure we haven't heard anything differently. But yeah, remote work study will be a thing for me in my office in the fall semester.
On a positive note, because we're going to leave, can you share what two of our work study students that had worked in our office, what we found out today or yesterday?
Oh yeah, so one called me at 8:30 last night screaming, and I thought he was having a crisis, but it was a celebratory scream. He got accepted into Columbia, which is a huge deal. So that was super exciting. And then another student got accepted into Emerson and got $34,000 of scholarship funding. So he called
very happy.
Good thing, and if it was legit, and we realized it was legit. And so that was a really exciting thing. So yeah, I mean, we value our work studies not only as help in the office, but as students and as humans and as individuals. So we hope that that can continue for sure.
Great news. Thank you.
That is amazing. That is so awesome. It's always good to get those calls when you're expecting the worst. And it ends up
Yeah, I
being
was like, why is he
amazing.
calling me at 8:30 at night?
Yep.
Great
Not
news.
often that those are good ones.
Yeah.
I know we have some other partners from other colleges. I don't know if you all have any idea of work study at your institutions. If you don't, no pressure to say anything, but if there are updates, we'd be happy to hear from you all.
I just fired an email off to financial aid to ask. I know we were allowed to keep our work study students after we went remote, and they were able to, quite frankly, be paid regardless of what we were able to have them do or not. And we do have work study this summer that leads me to believe we'll have it again in the fall, but I'll have an answer for folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie.
And I will also get back to you guys about work study at UMass. Due to all the COVID finance changes, I'm not positive where we stand, but I will definitely pass that messaging along to TBF for you guys.
Thank you so much. So we have hit 11:30, which was the ending for everybody who was not an actual Success Boston coach. So I would just want to say thank you so much to everybody who made it to every day, or if you just made it to one day. I really appreciate you attending this 3-day marathon institute. For people who have done it in the past, usually it's one day at TBF where we do everything all like this, all in one day. But maybe in the future we'll do some virtual ones. I don't know. We'll get some feedback later, and I'll be sending out some feedback and eval forms on how everything went and what was useful, what could be helpful in the future. So, and also be sending out that common messaging document that we went through earlier, and some more resources that will hopefully be helpful to everybody. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It was a big effort from everybody involved, from the coaches to advisors, hired liaisons, my colleagues at the foundation. So thank you again. Appreciate it. And see y'all later.